have an age difference. We have life differences.
This is how you should live your life.
I got the faith, because to get the faith,
Got it. Well, let's jump into this.
this is the Old School, New School podcast.
4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast. I am Will Charles Egan, and as usual, we have
Chris Meekins.
a guest middle schooler. That's what we
Middle
call
school.
our guests here.
Well, if
Why don't you
he's
go ahead
middle
and-
school, we're in trouble.
Yeah, right. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, my friend?
Dan Connelly.
Where do you,
I'm not from middle school.
No. Okay, well, that's good.
And why did we pick him?
Well, we've been
We
talking.
chose you.
Yeah.
You were chosen.
You were selected. We've been talking the past couple of episodes, and if you've been watching all of our episodes and you like the content that we're making, please be sure to subscribe. Subscribe. There's a button above Dan's head here. It's right above him there. It says subscribe now. Go ahead and tap that. Be sure to check us out. Check out some of our other videos and just help us out a little bit.
Help us out.
Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button.
Help a brother out.
They need help.
We do need help. We need all the help we
brother
get.
out.
Yeah. But we wanted to get Dan here because the past couple of episodes, we've been kind of talking on and off about that one thing, the prayer of Jabez, the little book, the actual prayer that I've been praying every single day. And since my life has been a complete wreck, in a good way, it means that something's coming soon.
Something's coming.
I hope. But we were talking about having somebody on to help us navigate the discussion of managing finances. And who better than this guy that you know?
And talk about the blessing. So, Dan, you are from Pennsylvania?
No.
Kentucky?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, really close to Kentucky.
Yeah, right. Completely.
How long you been here in Florida?
8 years.
Okay, nice.
Wow. And you have a family or?
I do. I
Oh,
do.
that's
I have
good.
3 daughters.
Okay.
Nice.
Lovely wife.
Okay.
Beautiful dog.
So you're a girl dad.
I am a girl dad.
How's that make you feel? Are you outnumbered?
Like a girl.
Okay.
Like a girl.
You're outnumbered.
Do you ever walk out of the house going, okay, this
need-
is
I
not
need-
what I thought was going to happen when I got married?
Yeah, I need a couple guys.
Yeah. Well, we're here to help.
All right, good.
Dan does, side note, he does this ministry called
Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers. And you
Not
do
a
this-
retreat. It's a boot
He
camp.
does a boot camp
Ooh,
once a year
okay.
where they go do man stuff, but they talk about man issues. And
Yeah.
you do that. You just got done in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Nice.
And what made you decide to do that?
I was invited about 15 years ago to a boot camp. Nobody told me what it was about. Kind of like
Kind of like today.
Yeah, like
yeah,
this.
kind of like
He
today.
said,
No
what are we
preparation.
talking about? It was like, well, we're kind of talking about God's blessing.
I had no clue where I was going to, but I trusted the gentleman who invited me.
Oh, cool.
And I went, and it was life-changing. I came back the following year with about 15 men, and we've been doing it now ever since. And it's funny, outside of the U.S., we're expanding into places like Belize, Nicaragua, Colombia. This year, our first boot camp in 6 months is in Greece.
Dang.
Yeah, dang.
That's
Okay,
really
and
cool.
So talk about the prayer of Jabez. Last year, our family went on a family vacation to Israel and Greece.
Okay. Yeah.
And our Airbnb host was a second-generation pastor in a Orthodox country where they don't accept Christians the way we think Christians
Yeah.
are,
Non-denominational.
evangelical.
Right.
And so I was wearing a shirt that said Band of Brothers, and he kept saying to me, "What's that shirt? What's that shirt?" in the car ride. So I explained it to him, and I told him it was from a book John Eldridge wrote 25 years ago called Wild at Heart.
Oh yes.
And in Greece, in his minivan, he goes, "I read that book." You read that book?
Oh.
And he said, "Yeah, I read it a long time ago." And then he said, "I'm gonna listen to it on audio because we have a 5-hour family vacation drive up north." He goes, "I'm gonna listen to it again." And we got connected. And last year we flew 6 people from Greece to the United States to visit and go through a boot camp. And they loved it so much they said, "You've got to do this in Greece."
So is this for people in finance? Is this a financial retreat or what kind
No,
of retreat?
no.
What kind of boot camp is it?
It's a boot camp. If he
For-
says retreat again, can you
We'll
block that out? Strike that comment.
for
It's for men. It's for men, and the whole premise of the boot camp is showing men how to get their hearts back. It's all about rescuing the beauty in their life, fighting for their heart, finding their heart, the heart that God put in them that they lost at some point. I'm not going to give you any more information.
I know.
You just need to come to a boot camp. You can go check it out.
But it's for Christian men. Or people that are interested in that.
No, we've had men show up drunk.
Really?
And by the end of the weekend, they gave up drinking.
Will?
Yeah.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, it's for all men. Doesn't matter what their denomination is.
Yeah.
But it has a spiritual
It does.
tone to it.
It does. But it's not like church.
It's not like
unlike church. It's unbleeped.
Okay.
There are some cuss words that you may hear.
Christians swear.
Get out. Get out.
Yeah.
Pull his plug.
How dare you?
So anyway, we asked Dan today because he's an expert in finance and he does all these things. And so tell us about how did you get involved in finance as a young man? I mean, was it yesterday or when?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in middle school, so
Right, yeah,
it,
you're the
was,
guest middle
it was
schooler.
yesterday.
It was yesterday.
35 years ago. I'm not going to tell you my age.
Okay.
About 38. 35 years ago, I got introduced to a concept by a guy I never knew, but he went to the same high school I went to. And at the age of 18, I learned about personal finance and how money worked. And the only time I could even relate to money or finance in my family is when my parents were fighting about it.
Right.
Not having enough, not being able to pay the bills, so my whole concept of money was, that's when you fight, when you're married.
Yes.
So I knew nothing about personal finance. I was a history major. I was going to be an attorney.
Wow.
And that kind of radically changed my course of life forever. And I never went to law school now. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank God for that. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, is there something that kept you in it? Because, I mean, you've been doing it for so long. Because you could...
Because isn't finances something you do when you don't have anything else
Right, that's
better
boring.
to do? Like when you failed at law school?
No. So what keeps me in it,
I'm so funny.
most people think it's making a lot of money, right? That's why you stay doing what you're doing. But I found out if you don't love what you're doing and feel like you're making a difference.
Right.
I was talking to a woman this morning in her 70s who was referred to me by a friend of mine up in New Jersey, and she said she has a financial advisor, and he talks to her like she's an idiot. He talks down to her. He's very demeaning.
Goodness.
And the whole conversation was, she goes, I have to get away from him because of the way he makes me feel. And so I guess some people have a power struggle when it comes to money. And I said to her, listen, I don't care if you become a client. What I care about is your information, that you understand, you know why you're doing what you're doing. It's all about education and now empowering you so you make better financial decisions. Okay. So what's kept me in it is the idea that I'm making a difference in people's lives.
Okay, so
That's awesome.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so
This is the big one.
this is like a Christian podcast in theory.
That's the idea that we do here.
I'm a really good Christian. He kind of sucks at it. So we're like mediocre at best, okay? So is it legal to be rich and be a Christian in today's world? And there's people that are like, I have a real problem with that. I have a real problem with I shouldn't be saving money. I should be giving it to someone in Istanbul or
Right.
what's the name?
Istanbul, that works.
Yeah.
Because people think that, because Jesus was walking around and he was depending on other people and he wasn't a super rich, wealthy man. And people look at Christian ministers or people that are considered like really holy pastors and they're not the richest people in the world.
Yeah, and you like my pastor is like, well, yeah, I'll probably have to work until I'm dead. Not my pastor now,
Right.
but a pastor of mine.
Yeah. So is it okay?
Not you, Randy.
Right. Yeah. Randy's cool. Is it okay to be wealthy and be a believer?
And be happy about it.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm not the authority on this, so I'm sure somebody will disagree with
Well, you are
what I'm about to say.
You are a Christian,
Yes.
and you are wealthy. So tell us.
Don't out him like that, Chris.
So I think it's more of a heart issue than it is the money.
Okay.
I've always told people it's not the money. Money is universal. It's an intangible.
Sure.
I think money makes bad people worse and good people better in some cases.
Ooh, that's a quotable moment right there.
You like that? So I've met a lot of wealthy people who make a difference with their money. And I've met a lot of broke people who all they care about is themselves. And if they had money, it would not be about other people. It would be about more of themselves. Oh, yeah. So I think it's a hard issue. I think when it becomes you and it's all about you, it's more than just a money issue. You have a heart issue. So to answer your question, I'm not jogging around your question. I think it's fine to be successful and a Christian because the church, the body of Christ, needs money. I mean, they're always asking, but the ask is to make a difference around the world. And if people didn't have financial impact, listen, you could pray for people, but you could also write a check. It's okay, I think, if you have money to give money.
Which Dan is, he's a prayer person at our church too. So you believe in prayer and money.
Prayer and money.
Oh, see?
Wow.
We're getting like a double.
Prayer and money. What can go wrong? Yeah.
But I think that you make a great point that it's all about the heart. It's all about saying, okay, maybe we could change the word to being a good steward or being entrusted. I love the illustration that Pastor, what's that guy's name that taught this? What's his face? Pastor
David Murphy.
When he talked about his sharing French fries with his kids at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, he's the supplier.
It was like he bought it. He's like, I'd like one of these French fries, and he's like, don't you know I could take them? And he's like, no, I don't want to give them to you. And he's like, God's the same way. He's like kind of giving you these fries, and here you are like, no, you can't have one of my fries. Yeah. And it's like, I thought it was an amazing example.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder with my kids when you ask them for something that you gave them, but it's theirs now. You gave it to them.
In their mind,
and they don't want to give it back.
That's my car. I'm pretty sure it's not your car.
That speaks to kind of just the mindset of young people, is because all they know, especially when you're young, what your daughters are all teenagers or young adults, and so their concept is just barely getting out of the me, it's mine. Because all I knew when I was raised is I was given something, therefore it is mine. And then when mom or dad takes it away, you took everything from me. That was mine. So
why did you do that?
And some people don't really understand that when you grow out of that, that's what, sharing is caring is. So for young people, maybe our audience, when they receive something, that's all they have, because maybe they have just began their first job or something. So all that they receive just becomes theirs. There is no I earned it, right? They just get everything. So how is it that we can kind of learn to share a little bit better, or maybe give back with tithing or supporting the church a little bit? Is there a mindset shift that has to happen with giving or with sharing with others?
Wow. Well, first off,
that's why we don't tell people the questions before we come on.
Again, I don't know if it's more of a mind issue or a heart issue. If your heart is right, if your purpose is to make an impact, you'll want to give.
Yeah.
If you hold on to things and you are hoarding things for yourself, I think there's a heart issue. So I don't know as much of a mind issue as much as it is a heart issue.
So let's just say we have someone watching and they're saying, okay, I don't want to be poor. Okay. When we were newly married, we were poor, and we were like, I can't put any money away. Well, it's a problem now. Why should someone young think, and how should they think when it comes to investing money?
Good question. The challenge, I think, with young people, and I felt the same way, is I never knew the impact of saving a little bit of money over a long period of time. No one ever showed me the end result.
Right. There's a lot of people never had this lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, it was seeing what the end result, even before the result took place. So it's hard for a young person to say, well, I'm going to save money for the future when I don't even know what the future has for me.
Right.
But when you see the end result, the reality is if you're alive in 20 or 30 years, you're going to need money.
Fair enough.
And I'll tell you, you're going to need a lot of money because everything goes up in cost as the years go by. I tell people, do you know the definition of inflation? And young people don't even know what inflation is. I'm saying, well...
Isn't that number on the side of my car for the tires?
Yes.
Yes, different kind of inflation.
You do have to inflate your car.
That's funny.
young people don't even realize that things are going to cost more money. I know if you do your own research, what my parents paid for their first house, you're paying for your first car now.
Oh yeah.
And so
it's not that nice of a car.
And how did that happen? It's called inflation. So I think just getting a young person to understand that it doesn't take a lot of money to become wealthy.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of money over a long period of time. Consistency in the right vehicle. So if you're putting your money in a vehicle that's not keeping up with taxes and inflation, which is about 5% a year, because you're going to end up paying income tax, and then you have to deal with inflation. And inflation is about 3% a year over a 50-year period. So I always say, if you're not beating 5%, your money's not growing. And what does the bank traditionally pay you? Less than 5%.
Or way less.
4.25.
So by putting your money in a
federal.
safe place, you're not really making any headway. So I think it's a little bit of money over a long period of time in the right vehicle.
What kind of vehicles should we be saving in? Should we be doing just a savings account, or should we be doing something more advanced?
Well, wow, a savings account. That's even worse than
That's like 0.001% interest.
Yeah. So and again, if you're a banker, please don't get mad at me for saying this, but banks are horrible places to invest money. Banks are created for emergency, write a check, put your money on deposit.
Isn't that what mattress is for?
You could do a
Stuff the
mattress
money
too.
in the mattress.
A
Probably the same interest rate.
Yeah, a place where you can put and take money. But if you're going to invest your money, you have to invest where they are investing your money. So banks don't take your money, put it in a drawer, and wait for you to come back. No, they take that money and they work with it. They loan it out. They make interest and investments just like we should be doing with our disposable income.
Right.
So now I know you're going to ask me what's disposable income these days.
That was going to be my
we
question.
know what disposable income is. 'Cause I have plenty of it.
Right, well, you have plenty of it.
No, I dispose of all my income.
Will lives on a budget.
Yes,
A
that
fixed,
word.
limited income.
That word is very familiar.
Did you
in my
quit your
household.
job this week?
Not yet. No, I
It's
thankfully
coming.
did not quit my job. But yeah, I was at an interview yesterday. So
We
financial
told him last
change.
week. He asked me if he should quit his job before he has another one, and I said no.
No,
No.
even if you hate it, you shouldn't quit it.
Yeah.
And that's good financial advice also,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like, yeah, it kind of sucks at your job right now, but it's going to suck even worse when you're not able to pay the rent.
Well, people today, I think it's the culture that we live in says if you don't like something, quit.
Right.
We live in a world that we teach our kids to quit everything that they don't like. My father put himself through school when he was married. He didn't want to work a full-time job and go to school at the same time and raise a family.
Right.
I'm sure he didn't like it, but he did it because it was responsible. Today, you don't hear people talking about responsibility anymore. We hear people, well, if I don't like my job, I'll quit. Well, who's going to pay your bills? Well, I'll go on unemployment.
Lame.
And then that way you can't save money.
Yeah. And there you go. You're not.
So I want to go back a couple of discussions ago because I'm still caught there. I think it's hard for people in the church when they hear this need and that need. How do you move from this as being selfish? Because there's people that don't have money that just tell people that have money they're just selfish. How do you move from saying I'm doing this out of being selfish, or I'm just having a view of what the future is?
Explain yourself. What do you mean doing what out of being selfish?
Saving money.
Okay.
Like I have this nest egg, and there's people down the street that needs money. Because we live in a society that's a lot more in touch with what's going on in the
Yeah,
world.
sure.
Younger
You know
people.
everything about every part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you feel a guilt trip almost from having
you
stuff.
almost like you feel guilt trip for
I don't.
invest. I know
You don't?
I
No.
know. That's why you're here.
Fair enough.
I don't.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any guilt?
Did you ever feel guilt? No.
No.
No, I mean,
Heartless.
he's crying.
He cracked himself up more than
I think I know where you're going with your question about, for me, how can you bless and give other people if you don't have anything?
Right.
So if there wasn't a group of people in our world that save their money for the purpose of giving, So I'm not going to give you from my retirement account because that's for my future when I stop working.
Right.
But I have other accounts that are there for the blessing of other people. I mean, I have friends that have a ministry every month. They allocate a certain amount of money every month for giving. And one number sticks in my head. A friend once told me, he goes, we give $8,000 a month to about 5 different ministries every month. And he goes, my wife and I every year evaluate, and we will change the ministries we're giving to, but we have a budget for giving. So I think it takes away the guilt. You can't make me feel guilty because I'm giving.
Oh yes, I can.
You can.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're talking, I think you're making a lot of sense because you're talking from someone that's like, okay, you, all of a sudden one day you wake up, you're 55 years old. One day you wake up, you're 67 years old. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't really think that this day was going to come. And for most of us, it's going to come.
Yeah.
And there's nobody going to give you handouts. I mean, it's like, I had to think this through, and that's what I think we like. We're happy you're here because you're saying, think it through. Think it through. There's going to be a day where you're going to need some money.
Yep. I think, Chris, throughout history, there's been examples of people who didn't think it through as opposed to people who have. Right? What do they call those people? The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's any different today than it was 100 years ago. My business, what I do is I teach people to think through the future and have a plan, because you cannot save for retirement, let's say a 20-year period, because no one knows their date of death. I mean, I hope that you guys don't know yours because I don't know mine. I don't want to know mine.
Well, he's been talking back a little bit, so his might be
it's approaching closer.
So if somebody retires at 65 and they live another 20 or 25 years, think about having no income coming in for that period of time.
Yeah.
Now I call Social Security social insecurity. Because what's secure about an $1,100 a month check?
Yeah.
I mean,
I get $362 from my Social Security.
Yeah.
Believe
Really?
it.
The average Social Security check is a little over $1,100 a month nationwide. You can't live on that.
No.
So if you get to a point when you retire and you can't retire, why are most people working into their later years? You think they sat on a picket fence, husband and wife, and go, oh, honey, I can't wait one day to retire. Broke.
Right.
But so, like you said, it's going to happen in most of our lives. Why not have a plan for it? You know, I don't want to cut you off.
No.
Most people spend more time planning a 2-week vacation. Ask the average bride how long she spends planning her wedding.
Yeah.
For a couple-hour event.
That's awesome.
We spend more time planning those two things, vacations and weddings, than we do our entire retirement, which is going to last 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pretend like Will is interested in talking to you.
Interested.
And even though
make attempt.
I'll try.
Give him my contact. Even though he doesn't make a lot of money and he's working like a crappy job. Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
that he almost quit.
That he almost quit. But anyway, he's doing okay. I mean, he's making ends meet. What would you say to him would be like step one of being a young person? No need really to save today. What would be his first move? And then I want you to talk about a guy my age. I'm 67 years old, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want to be I don't want to just spend everything. Should I still save?
Well, I'm encouraged that neither one of you spend money on wardrobe.
Yeah, clearly.
So I'm encouraged to know that you're not wasting money on something like wardrobe. But what I would
Amazon, baby.
What I would do, how I would talk to Will is I would say, whether or not you're saving money, whether you think you can afford to save money, you still need to understand the power of investing and saving, so that when you do have money, you have those disciplines. And I think it's hard to save a lot of money. Everybody thinks, well, I don't save money because I can't save a lot. Well, how about you start with what you can start with? You know, I tell younger people, start with $25 a month. Can you invest less than $1 a day? $25 a month.
A month?
A month.
Okay.
Do that for 6 months or a year and tell me you can't afford to do more. You
Okay.
spend more money than you think on
Yeah.
frivolous, wasteful things.
Yes.
Because you don't have an account for it. So I would say to Will, you could save $25 a month, couldn't you, Will? And
Yeah.
he would go, I could save $25 a month.
And where would you say that? Would you like talk to someone like you that's like an investor?
I would put him on an automatic distribution right out of his checking account every month where it would just pull out. And I would put him in a good growth mutual fund because
Even though
mutual
it's only
funds,
$25 a month.
I mean, yeah, because mutual funds. I mean, I don't want to get into an investment class here, but you can't buy a share of Amazon for $25,
Right.
or Apple Computer, but you can take $25 a month and put it in a diversified pool of money, which is called a mutual fund, with a low entry minimum of $25 a month. Most companies will let you do that. So just putting away $25 a month. Now that's not a lot of money. It's $300 a year, but at the end of the year, with growth and interest, you might have grown that to $500.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you say, wow, look at that. I made some money. I'm going to increase it to $50 or $100. And that's kind of how I got started at 18 years old. I started with 25. Then I go, wow, I didn't even miss it. Let me go to 50.
Yeah.
Then I challenged myself, did 100. I'm like, whoa, $100 a month.
Oh, man.
And then
crazy.
after I was doing $100 a month for about a year, I upped it. Somebody challenged me to do 500.
Wow.
But think about it. Young people are driving cars that cost $500 a month payment
$1,000.
or more, right? With car insurance.
500 is nothing.
And what do
Yeah.
you get at the end of the life of that car?
Of the lease, you have to give it back to them.
And you have to pay them
Yes.
to get, right? So,
Yep.
so young people could save money. Their priorities are wrong. They want tangible items. And that's why I started out by saying, if you can show a young person the end result, if I could sit with a young person and say, if you put away X amount of dollars a month for 20 years, you'll have $500,000. They're like, what? $500,000? $500,000? Yeah.
What about, is there ever a time when you can stop investing money, or you should stop investing money or saving money? I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
at 67 and a half.
Yeah, I was
where he's
assuming that's where he was at. Or maybe stop
no,
buying businesses.
Our
Car
our
washes.
older customer, our older listener is just like, is there a day that I can stop doing this? Now, I think people that are savers, my father-in-law is a saver. He's 90 years old, and he still tries to save 15 to 20% of his income. Not
Amazing.
Yeah, he budgets.
Well, he's probably a depression baby.
Yeah.
He grew up during the
exactly right.
depression, and so there's these different generations you will come across in your life where people who live through traumatic experiences like the depression, who grew up with nothing, saving is something that they can't even help it. They
That's
know
in their
they
DNA.
don't want to go back to living without.
Right.
I think our culture, we've gotten away from that because we've never had to live through something so traumatic as a Great Depression.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think if you have a number, you say, okay, this is what I'm planning for. When I could retire on X amount of dollars a year coming in interest off my investments, I could retire and never have to go back to work. I tell my retired clients, you shouldn't be saving money. You saved money for the point where you can stop saving and now you start taking money, right? So two things in life. You're in the accumulation phase when you're young. You're in the distribution phase in the later years. Your goal is to get to enough to where you can stop working and now start taking from your savings. So I don't know if Chris is there yet.
You think he's still in the accumulation phase? Or
Yeah.
he wants to be in the accumulation phase? Because he recently bought this big old mess that is a car wash.
Car wash. You know what? And I was reading this Prayer Jabez commercial. This is one written by Charles Spurgeon. The one
that's
we
a
were
different
talking
one.
about was work. But anyway, he was talking. It was really encouraging. He was talking about you can't look at. We'll just say this whole thing's. It's not going well, but maybe that is the blessing that you prayed for, because it's put you in a better relationship with God than you've ever been in years. And so the blessing really is about being in relationship with God.
Right.
Right.
The blessing of money is being in relationship with God, going, you have taken care of me. It's looking, how do I bring God into it with money, with no money, with where is God in this? So let's kind of wrap up with, where do you think God is in kind of what you do, helping people provide for the future? Where do you think God's in that?
Well, I think first off, God always says, take care of the widows and orphans.
Yeah.
And the lesser. Okay. So I believe when you're able to sit down and give people coaching and advice and give them the empowerment to change their life, when it comes to widows and orphans, I sit with a lot of widows who are now on their own. And the husband, let's say, took care of all the money and finances, paid all the bills. And all of a sudden, you have a widow who didn't even know where the money was, how much money they had, and is relying on someone to give them good advice. Unfortunately, this woman I talked to this morning, she is being taken advantage of by a financial person who's talking down to her as if she knows nothing.
Right. Just do what I tell you.
Instead of treating her as, hey, I'm the client. You're my client. I work for you.
I'm going to help you out.
Yeah, you don't work for me. I work for you. This is your money. So the blessing is to be able to help people feel a level of comfort in their life, to where they can do the things that they've always wanted to. Go on vacation, take their grandchildren out, and live a comfortable life. But most people live in some form of guilt. You were talking about having money. Why are people feeling guilty for having money? Again, it's not like I did something illegal for my money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working hard.
I just happen to be a good steward my whole life.
Yeah. I mean, you don't accumulate money by making bad decisions. And I see a lot of people just make one bad decision after another. I'll give you one example. I know people that have, I was talking about car payments. $1,200 leases.
Oh, boy.
For minivans.
No.
Well, hold on a second. How did you lease a minivan and pay $1,200 a month? Well, the answer is they kept rolling over bad leases into new leases, and their credit is bad. So, yeah, you can get a car for $1,200 a month at 16% interest. And then they'll justify, well, no, those were bad decisions. You have to stop at some point and assess. Maybe it's time to get rid of that lease payment of $1,200 a month and go buy a jalopy down at the junkyard for cash.
Well, you want to sell your car?
I might want to inevitably. That's what I did. Yeah, I bought because I didn't need a car payment. Right. I'm at a point in my life where it's just I don't need to pay $1,200 for a car. I'm not even going to ever own on my own.
Right.
So I just bought the car cash up front. I think it's little things like that for younger people to start getting into good habits. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I need to start a mutual fund.
Cars depreciate.
That's another thing. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get the same amount of money that I bought for it when I sell it.
Yeah, Will, as a young person, remember this. Only invest your money in assets that appreciate, not depreciate.
That's right.
So cars depreciate. They're worthless in 5 years. They're worth nothing.
Yeah.
So why would you pay all that money for something that's worthless?
Right. Yeah. I did get my car for pretty dirt cheap, and with the way inflation's going, I might be able to get the same amount of money for it, but it won't be worth the same because with inflation. But,
Yeah. You need a car, though. You have to get around.
You do need a car.
And then you have to get that car washed somewhere.
I do.
Yeah. I know a guy that owns a car wash.
Shameless plug.
Do you pray regularly that God would give you wisdom what to do with your money?
Yeah, I do. I was given a book earlier last couple weeks ago, and it's a bunch of prayers that you pray every day. I'll share it with you. One of those prayers is about praying over your harvest. Harvest. So I do believe that God wants to bless his people, but he cannot bless someone whose heart is not pure. So again, if it's all about you,
right,
it's hard to receive a blessing if all you're going to do is take that and go do with whatever you want with it versus maybe blessing somebody else.
Buy podcast equipment.
Yeah, sure. There you go.
This is pretty good. Is this real gold? It looks
definitely not
fancy,
but it's gold plated, so it counts. That's what matters.
Yeah. So I do, Chris, pray for a blessing over our business, over our family, over my marriage, over my children, even though sometimes you keep praying that. Knowing that God hears our prayers. But I don't sit and pray for money. I don't pray for a windfall. I don't pray to win the lottery.
Really?
No, never have. Wow. I never actually.
I guess I'm going to have to repent.
I've never played the lottery.
You don't strike me as somebody who plays the lottery.
54 years, I've never played and spent $1 on a lottery ticket.
I don't think you should either.
Yeah.
Yeah, your odds are pretty dang low. But so you're in a position where you're helping.
Got to spend money to make money.
But I have to say, I did invest $1 million for someone who won a lottery.
Oh yeah.
With a $5 ticket.
No way.
Yeah, bought one ticket, won $1 million.
Just first time ever?
Walked into a liquor store waiting for his son. Didn't buy a liquor. He bought a lottery ticket and won $1 million. Now, after tax, it wasn't $1 million, but go figure. You just said you never win the lottery. It's pretty crazy.
One and done.
So, are you good with your money?
I say I'm pretty good. I'm a squirrely saver in that I never spend my money. I'm very habitually saving the money. You know, what I do have.
You're a hoarder.
I am naturally a hoarder, yes. Yeah, see, you know, you've done this for years.
Hoarder, OCD, kind of like the
yeah,
same.
that's, yes. Yeah. Well, you're in a position where you're helping people help people with their money in terms of giving and things. So how is it that somebody like myself who isn't making a ton of money, how can I give my money or be very open with what I do have now?
First off, I think it's a habit. You have to create good habits in your life. But Will, I think if you pray, sometimes I'll be driving and I'll see a homeless person, and for years I would be like, I'm not
just gonna drink it away.
Well, right. Yeah, you get those ideas like, well, what are they going to do with that money? But then there have been other times where I just felt very compelled to roll down my window and give them a $20 bill or whatever. Yeah. There was about 2 years ago, I was at Publix. I was pulling into Publix, and there was a mother with her child outside Publix with a sign asking for money. So I thought nothing. Obviously, I did think something of it because I pulled into Publix, did what I had to do, left. And when I left, she was still there.
Dang it.
So I drove home. And I said to my wife, I feel like I need to go back to Publix. Yeah. And so I turned around, I went back, and she was still there. And I called her over. And it wasn't a young boy. It was her son, older son. Okay. And they didn't speak English. Okay. And somehow we communicated, and I basically told her, let's go through Publix. And she was asking for a turkey, like something to feed her family. So I said, here, and this is really weird. I said, let's go shopping. Just fill the cart. Do you know, we walked around Publix, and I had to help her fill the cart. Like, all they wanted was a little bit. Yes. They were not looking for a handout. I think she felt horrible that she had like 6 or 7 children. Right. And I'm standing there saying, listen, I can give you whatever you want. Yeah. Right. In this store.
This is not a big deal.
Right. Let's go shopping. Sure. And I think I might have spent $60, $70. They didn't. She was just the basics. Sure. So I think sometimes you feel compelled, right? And we think it's a lot of money. I mean, $50, $60.
So I have something to say.
Okay. Go ahead, Chris. It's your podcast.
It's your podcast. No, it's yours.
What's up?
I think it's in portion. I think you save in proportional. That's not right. That's not the right word, is it?
You can't save more than you make.
Right. Yes.
So you save within
like
your means.
Like a tithe is, in theory, is 10%. I think that people would always say you should save 10%. Just make it a percentage. And at that point, you don't feel guilty. I mean, I was raised in guilt. Everything was wrong. Right. People down the street, they were rich, we were poor. That was wrong. I have money, now that's wrong. I mean, you can't win. Right. So I think when you give or when you save in proportion, it's like I'm just being obedient to what the Bible says, what the Bible talks about. Yeah. And so learning to do that, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, I got 80% to do whatever I want to do with. And that, I mean, that's still a lot. That's 80% more than I had yesterday. Sure. And so I think it's proportion, and then we talked about Andy Stanley, how to be rich good, and he talks about margin and making sure that your debt load isn't so much that you can't save.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and that's hard to do in a world that says if you can't afford it, finance it.
Oh, yeah.
Borrow it.
Get a
Right?
loan.
Buy now, pay later. Listen to the advertisements all over the television and the radio.
Oh, yeah.
My kids used to say, "Hey, they're getting like 0% financing on that truck." I go, "Yeah, but it's still a $60,000 truck divided by 48 months, which is now like 84 months. But it's still $600 a month. That has to come from someplace,
Everything now is buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
Buy now, pay later.
or pay in 3 months. Which why do they? What you would think
So
that
there's
people
a-
wouldn't buy into that? That'd be like stupid. Oh, I don't have to pay for 3 months. Well, guess what? 3 months
still have to pay.
is going to come.
Well, the finance companies rely on that. So those are that's all mathematically and created because they know that 90% of the loans that are financed convert. So when you go buy, let's say, a beautiful dining room set for $5,000,
Right.
and you put it on 18-month no interest.
Uh-huh.
If you don't pay that off in 18 months,
Yeah.
the furniture company got their money the day you left the store. It was sold to a finance company. The finance company paid for the furniture. You took the loan. At the end of 18 months, if you don't pay that back, they take all your back interest and add it to the loan, and now you owe more money, and now you have to start making payments on that.
Yep.
So what people do is they buy all these things that they don't deserve to have because they can't afford it.
Right.
And then when all the payments come due,
Ruh-roh.
they go bankrupt or they
Yeah.
can't afford it. And then all of a sudden the collectors are they're coming in and repossessing everything. So people need to understand that it's a business and you're the victim. Well, you're really not the victim.
Right.
You made the
You made
decision.
yourself the
yeah,
victim.
but everybody wants to say, I'm a victim. So it's simple, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, how can if someone wanted to talk to you about this, could they call you and talk to you about this?
Sure.
Where can they reach you,
Where can
Dan?
they reach out? You have an interweb.
An interweb.
And he's
Yeah,
old.
I'm Spider-Man. I have a web. I do. I have a page. I don't know if you can post it on that link. I have a little QR code.
Sure.
Where I have this interactive landing page where people can go on for free and just answer a couple questions, and it will help them figure out how much money they need to retire on. And it's just very informative, where people are educating themselves on the power of saving and investing. So I do have a website that they can.
So I don't
access.
think you call yourself a Christian finance guy. You're just a Christian that does finance.
Yeah,
simple as
I'm a coach.
You're a follower of Jesus Christ, cleverly disguised as a finance guy. But the reason we had John here is because, one, people want to talk about blessing. Two, they want to know people that they think that they can trust, and I think that they should be able to trust you. Don't hold me to that. But I would always tell people when I'm selling a house, I'm like, don't trust anything I say. Double check it.
Right.
Make sure I'm telling the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I want you to find out because I don't want you to be blind. And that's the thing. Even though he's a Christian, it doesn't mean you have blind faith.
Right.
No, I know there's plenty of so-called Christians out there that have taken advantage of people.
No.
So what do you think? Do you think we're done?
I say that was good. You've
Oh,
been
that was quick.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun on our podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have a link that you could just put in the description of this
I
video?
do.
Perfect. The link
Perfect.
will be in the description. If you just scroll down, you can find Dan's page, and he'll be able to help you out.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Love to.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure, again, to hit the subscribe button and
How
like
much
the
money do
video.
you have in the bank?
We'll talk about that later once the cameras are off.
Do either of you guys, where do you guys know? Anyone have a good referral to buy a car wash?
Yeah. Listen,
To buy a car wash? I'm sure you could take a burden off this
He
guy's
thinks
hands.
it's funny. We'll see you guys later. Good night.
Peace.